Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer. This is my Sunday chat. So it's a bit late today, Sunday chat, and I do apologise for that. I've been running around today doing various bits and pieces and yesterday, and I normally record my Sunday chat the day before. So you might say this is my Monday chat, if you like. So it's I think it's the 24th of October 2021. And so I'm a bit unprepared, and this is a very loose Sunday stroke Monday chat. So here we go. I am very thrilled that people have enjoyed the recent videos that we've been doing. The one at Compton, and then the burial mound there, which was fantastic. Great to see the long barrow there and to get the drone up. People have been very encouraging with the drone shots. I don't want to overuse the drone in the videos that I make, but they do add a different dimension. So where possible. Now, I've been out a couple of times recently, and it's just been too windy to fly the drone. It's actually quite a lightweight thing, so I can't just throw it up in all weather. So it's got to be fairly quiet in terms of wind. And also, it does work better if the sun is shining, so that you see much more of the landscape rather than just a sort of a dull fog, if you like. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for all the encouragement. I really appreciate all of that. It's been great. The most recent video has been a video which looked at the wonderful landscape, if I can say that, the wonderful landscape, not boring old fields, as Horsham District Council have said, in which they're going to, or planning, to build 3,500 new homes. Now, in the video, I kind of got a bit lost on myself. In one part of it, I said 350, and then later on, I said 3,500. When I'm making my videos, it is just me. It may look like there's a production team, that filming me, because I have to go and set the camera up and run back and do all these things and then make it look fluid. So sometimes I will make mistakes. I do make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm only human. It's only me and a camera out. I mean, occasionally, obviously, I'm with the lovely Julia, and then it's just the lovely Julia and me. Or if I'm with somebody else, it is just those people. There isn't a production company. And when editing these things, sometimes I pick up the mistakes that I make, and you go, oh, damn, yeah, made a mistake there. And I'll put a bit of text like most YouTubers do when they realize. But sometimes you can watch something time and time again, and you still don't see it. When I used to do the corporate videos for people, there would be mistakes again that would be made, and very often not always my mistake. Sometimes I would ask for the names of people I've filmed, and you would put their caption up, and people would email me the names. I would copy and paste that so that I didn't make a mistake typing in on the spelling, and it would look great to me. And then I would send it to the client, and they would say, yeah, no, that's great. Then I'd get a message once it'd all been wrapped up. Any chance you could do it again? Only that guy, I thought that was the spelling of his name, but he's actually told me now it's this spelling. So they make a mistake down the line. And of course, I change it all. So often mistakes can make, and they just go in. And that was one of them, the 350 to 3,500. But I did address that in the description title. I quickly put that in when I realized I'd made that blunder. So, forgive me if I do make a few things, and most people do, but some people get a little bit funny. It's interesting, there was a comment that I wanted to comment on, where most people were in general agreement with me, which is lovely, and I'm pleased that there are. It's interesting reading the comments where people don't agree, and of course everybody's entitled to their opinion, provided they put their opinion in a non-rude and nasty way. Sometimes I get people who disagree with me, but instead of saying, look, Richard, I don't agree with you there, I think this, and we can have a conversation about it, which is fine. Some people just seem to come in and then start name calling or just be abusive. And of course, that's no way to further anybody's case on a different side of the argument. So it's far better to be polite, even if you disagree. Now, there was one chap who made a comment about the video that we did recently, and it was a fascinating comment actually, because he said, no, it's not so bad. Only 8% of the country has been built on. And when you look at like a satellite picture, you can see there's plenty of space. Now, it's interesting that he should say 8%, because I remember the figure of, I think it was just before Brexit came along, people were banding about 3% of the land had been built on. So if it's 3% then and it's 8% now, that's a massive jump. That's a worry. But I always come back and say, yeah, but what is that 2, 3, 8% representing? Is it representing just houses? Is it representing roads, rail, airports, ordinary ports, grass verges, rivers, all sorts of other, not so much rivers, but places where we've already built but you can't possibly build on? Car parks, for example, out of town car parks, things like that. And also those bits of land that are in the middle of roads, islands and things like that, that you just really couldn't build on because there's too many main roads going on. Does it count up for that? And then does it make allowance for the fact that there's a lot of land that you can't actually build on? Rivers, you can't build on a river. You can't really build on the coastline, the beaches, on cliff tops. You can't build on mountain tops. You can't build really in swamps and floodplains. I know people do try to build in floodplains, but it's very silly. There's plenty of areas, bogs, peat bogs, forests. There's plenty of unsuitable places. And of course, we need a lot of the place for farming to sustain us. Not just the farming, but also for wildlife corridors, because we need wildlife. We need the bugs that the bigger creatures, the rodents eat, that the larger creatures eat, in order to sustain an environment that we want to live in. Plus the fact we also want not to be crowded in by lots and lots of houses. We need lungs, and a lot of the open space is just that. So I feel that to say, well, there's still plenty of space is not, it's not as simple as just looking at a map and saying, well, there's plenty of space. That's my own personal opinion, and I appreciate people will disagree with me. There was a great book that was published, I think, by R.G. Stapledon in the 1930s. He did a survey. It was called The Land, Now and Tomorrow. So it's about 90 years out of date. So 90 years ago, he did this very, very intensive survey looking at what land had already been gobbled up by things like motorways, railways, airports, and so on and so forth. And then what land was actually suitable for farming, taking away rivers, mountains, swamps, peats, and all of that kind of stuff. And he realized that back then there was not enough farmland to sustain us. And he threw out the cry, what are we doing? Well, of course, we built on so much more of that farmland, because farmland is great for building on because it drains well, it's nice and flat, and access is there. So much easier than building on a mountain top, for example. And the thing about that is that what we have done is we've did what we did before the First World War, and we've started again to do what we did before the Second World War, is to outsource so much of our farming that we just bring it in from other countries instead of being sustainable. Well, I don't think we can be sustainable now. We've built on so much of the farmland that basically we can't afford to build on any more of that farmland. And anybody watching my videos will know that I'm very much about trying to get back to mixed farming for local communities rather than this huge globalization. People, again, will disagree. There's a fantastic book here called Vanishing England And this was written in 1910, something like that. I'm just having a quick look when it was first, this edition, hang on, when does it say? The first edition was something like the 1910 or 1920s. And it's this chap, I think he was a vicar or something, P.H. Ditchfield, and Fred Rowe, who was an illustrator. They go round some beautiful pictures of old buildings and various things. And his point was, back then, over 100 years ago, his point was, there's no point trying to reminisce about the stuff that we've lost, because it's gone. But what we can do is try and protect what there is in the here and now. That was, as I say, turn of the century, 1910, 1920s, whenever that was, 100 years ago. What he didn't know was the 1960s were coming, in which, what we know, much of town centres were decimated and these awful high-rise buildings were put up. A lot of lovely Victorian buildings were taken away. And some of these things, I mean, we had them in Worthing, and now, 40 odd years later, they're crumbling and being removed. Nothing seems to last that we build these days, and yet some of these old things, these old beautiful timber-framed houses, the Georgian houses, they're lasting hundreds of years, and they're beautiful. We don't seem to be building anything that's beautiful anymore. And so I feel now with my videos almost a bit of a calling, because it's almost like it's too late to save all this stuff. What our children and our grandchildren will see will be nothing like what we can see today. So I feel that very much what I've got to do is to carry on recording as much of what we have left, a bit like this chap going around with his illustrator to sketch and look at the stuff that is here. And because it seems that the powers that be just want to obliterate this country, England and everything about it, its customs, its traditions, its way of life, and all of that, and of course the buildings and the landscape, it seems that people just want to get rid of that. I feel that my future is to go and film everything that we have and give that as a present to the future prosperity or the future people, and say, look, this is what we've lost. We had so much more even then, but in 2021 and in the next however many years, this is what we had before they took it away. So me walking through beautiful countryside, some exquisite towns and villages, is absolutely, I think, going to be where I'm headed with the Bald Explorer. Let me know what you think. You probably think I'm bonkers, and you're entitled to your views. Just to remind you before I go, excuse me, if you are coming to the Bald Explorer walk, we are doing it next week on Saturday coming. And it'll be at 10:30 for an 11 o'clock start at Ditchling Common. So if you're coming along on the Bald Explorer Walk, it's Saturday coming, which is, I forget the date now, I think is it the 30th. And do come along. There's parking there, Ditchling Common. Information on the Facebook Bald Explorer Walking Group. And we look forward to seeing you then. But anyway, I shall be out and about with more walks and all the rest of it, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays for my videos, and I'll try and get my Sunday chat out on Sunday next. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye bye.